Welcome back to another episode of Home Tech. I'm Jason Griffin, and I'm joined by Seth. Seth, how are you?
Doing well, Jason. What's going on tonight?
I think you know the answer to that. And I was joking with you that, if I had a little bit more foresight, I probably would have planned this better and would have recorded this a couple nights ago, because I'm sitting here recording with you, and it's the opening night of the NFL football season.
I'm so sorry. Well,
so if you've ever questioned my dedication before, now you can't any longer.
No, not at all. Not at all.
But yeah, we won't stay on football. We got a lot to talk about. But yeah, definitely excited to see NFL back on TV, and look forward to seeing my Broncos play this Sunday night. They're playing Indianapolis in Denver, so ought to be a good game.
Absolutely. And, take solace in the fact that knowing that this time next week, you and I will be totally drunk and, we'll be at CEDIA in Denver as well.
Yeah, in Denver, actually. Really looking forward to CEDIA this year. It's going to be, I think, a great show. It's actually been a couple of years since I had the opportunity to go, just because my work schedule hasn't really allowed it. But this year I really made it a point to block off some time, and really looking forward to going out there.
Yeah, it should be a lot of fun. And we go to the show all day, and we go to classes, and then the joke is you go out at night and get drunk, because the show doesn't even open until 10 o'clock the next morning anyway. So
yeah,
it doesn't really matter what you
got
do at night.
A little time to sleep it off. And I'm also looking forward to meeting you in person. Our listeners may not know this, but you and I do this show completely remotely from opposite sides of the country, and this will actually be the first time that we've ever met in person. So looking forward to that as well.
Yeah, I feel like I know you.
Exactly. So we'll talk CEDIA, and I want to talk Apple a little bit as well, because they're obviously have a huge event coming up right around the same time. But just before we jump into that, just quickly by way of housekeeping, want to just encourage people to stop by HomeTech.fm, leave us a comment if you have any feedback for the show. Also, we really encourage people to stop on over to iTunes and leave us a review. We've had a few really great reviews come in lately, and we really appreciate it.
Definitely. That always helps keep moving us along on the show. We've got really good feedback lately.
Yeah, definitely, and it also helps, with iTunes search. So it helps more people find us, and that's really a big thing. So if you enjoy the show and you want to help us get the word out to more people, that's a great way that you can help us out.
Sure. So, what do you want to talk about Apple for?
Yeah, so we've been kind of joking about this. It just almost feels like unfortunate time for CEDIA in a way, because it sounds like there's big news coming from Apple. They've got their big event coming up on the 9th, and obviously a lot of the talk is around a new iPhone. But really, I'm personally looking for some news on the HomeKit front. I'm really hoping to see some more announcements on that. We've gone back and forth, and I felt a little bit shorted on the Worldwide Developer Conference. We got like a minute and 12 seconds of HomeKit talk, and I was really hoping for more. So hopefully we'll hear some more about that at their next event.
Yeah, there's there was a ton of stuff that was released with iOS 8, and the rumor is if they come out with a new phone, I guess tomorrow, as this recording will actually air on Monday, then we'll actually have iOS 8 on that phone, and thus giving you access to HomeKit and all the other goodies that come along with it. But there's rumors going around that Apple is actually building like a house behind the event center. It's in this giant building. Somebody posted some pictures on the internet, and there's rumors going around that they are putting a house inside there so they can demo HomeKit and how it will work, integrated with things like the new iPhone and iOS 8 and possibly that iWatch that everybody has been clamoring and talking about. So just kind of some crazy stuff going on right now. And Apple, we could release this, and they definitely, plenty of podcasts are going to talk about it, but I think it just has that opportunity to kind of eclipse everything that happens at CEDIA, unfortunately. So
yeah, I agree. I mean, the thing is that, I don't want to get into the Apple speculation. That's not really our gig here. I mean, we talk about Apple a little, but the iWatch has just been such a hot topic on the Apple rumor mill for so long. that if they do actually announce it at this event, you just know it's going to be huge news, absolutely huge news. And anytime Apple announces a new product line, not just a new product, but this would be a complete new line for them. It's obviously going to be gigantic news. So it'll be interesting either way.
Yeah, there's already people camping out in front of the New York Apple store.
Is there really?
Yeah. They started like yesterday or the day before.
Jeez.
So it's like 3 weeks before anything is actually going to be released, because they announce it, they announce it Tuesday, but they always say it's going to ship in a couple weeks. They usually don't say it's available right now, run to the store. Or everybody would just run out of that room, I'm sure, and try and go buy one.
Yeah, definitely. I'm hoping to see a new Apple TV. There's been a lot of talk about that. Again, speculation.
That would be great. Yeah,
but
I would love to see that.
It's been a long time. It's been a long time since they updated that piece of hardware. There's a lot more competition in that market now than there was when that product first came out. I think they're overdue for an update, and I will bet personally on the fact that there will be a HomeKit integration available with that. If not right away, then with a future software update. It just makes too much sense to have that sort of device act as kind of the central brain of a HomeKit run, household.
Yeah, the Apple TV is definitely overdue and getting long in the tooth. So, that'd be nice to see. It'd be nice to see some new Mac Minis too. I think we talked about it before, but there's
I'm in the
a lot
market
they can
for a
update.
new computer, and I've been waiting, because the Mac Mini just appeals to me for a few different reasons, and it's been a long time since they updated that as well. So I'm crossing my fingers that they update that product.
Yep. So we'll let the pundits and the analysts and everything talk about Apple. We're going to talk about CEDIA.
Yeah, in the interest of not letting Apple cast a shadow over CEDIA on our show, we should move on, right?
Exactly. It can't dominate the news and everywhere.
Yeah, exactly.
So CEDIA is the Consumer Electronics Design and Installation Association, and they have this kind of a trade show. That's what all it is, where we all get together and kind of take classes, review, maybe brush up on things that we need to brush up on to do our jobs right, and go and see the exhibits, walk the floor and see all the new products. So I think, I looked through and found maybe one or two classes that I'm going to take kind of on the technical side of things, just because I feel like I need to brush up on that a little bit. It's been kind of a while since I've really had to do any crazy networking with VLANs and quality service. Mm-hmm. So I'm gonna step into one of those classes, and there's another like API class that I think one of the manufacturers offering that I'm gonna go swing by and see if it's of any interest. If not, I'm gonna bail and get back to the show floor.
Just gonna stand up and walk out.
Yeah, that's exactly. If it's boring, I'm leaving.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the classes are one of those things that it's like some of them look really interesting, and you just never know until you get in there if it's going to kind of hold your attention. And there's so much going on at CEDIA that you just kind of feel bummed if you're stuck in a class that's not super interesting or not, I guess, what you thought it was going to be. I was looking at a number of classes initially, and I think I've kind of scaled it back. I think there's really only one or maybe two courses that I'm going to take. But my current role in the industry right now, it doesn't really require any a lot of hard skills. I'm a project manager, so I'm just doing a lot of directing traffic, and time management is big, and people skills and all of that sort of thing. But I don't do much programming or networking or anything along those lines anymore. And personally, I think those classes are probably the most useful, is the real, kind of hard skills, technical type courses.
Definitely. I mean, there are a ton of the classes they have at CEDIA just cover the gamut. You could take technical, like entry level technical classes that kind of tell you almost how to drill holes in the wall correctly, hang a TV, that kind of thing, all the way through high end networking and that kind of thing. And then you can get into the business track and really learn how to run and manage the business and everything. And then of course the project management and all that stuff comes into it too. So I mean, it's a really good resource for integrators to get out to CEDIA, unwind a little bit at night, but start studying during the day and get some of those credits.
Yeah, definitely. And I, in addition to the classes being educational, I think they're a great way to network as well, because a lot of times on the show floor, I've found that it's just so busy and there's so much movement. It's hard to kind of like focus and get people's attention. But I've made a lot of friends and met a lot of really cool people in these classes. It's nice when the instructors kind of make it a little more social and try to, when the class gets engaged. And I've actually met some really cool people taking the courses. So that's kind of a side benefit.
Cool. So, I guess, taking the classes is one thing to do, but walking the floor and looking at the exhibits is another thing. And there seems to be a lot of stuff going on this year. I kind of would divide the show into, the traditional exhibits that you could go to, like the traditional CI companies, like Control4, Crestron, Savant, URC, RTI, and even maybe Elan, which I think is wrapped up in the core brand stuff now. And then newer companies, like there's newer companies that are, for the first time, releasing their products or showing something that may be heading to Kickstarter or something like that into crowdfunding on the show floor. And I think that's really cool. I've been really looking at the floor plan and looking at all the companies that are showing. There's a ton of them this year. I filled up 6 pages.
Quite a list of quite an agenda, a show floor agenda here that I'm scrolling through as we're speaking. And yeah, it's six pages worth of booths and different, events that you want to stop by and check out. So looks like you're going to be a busy man out there.
Yeah. I mean, I pretty much gave up, it's, if you have a booth at CEDIA, I'm going to be there. I'm going to check out what you have to sell. So, I'm definitely excited about that and seeing some of the newer companies, and as well as seeing what the traditional CI companies, what they've done to innovate their product and what they've brought to the market this year.
Yeah, so I think that's kind of one of the most interesting things about CEDIA this year is the sort of convergence. Like traditionally, CEDIA has been a show for custom installers, and so we're talking kind of traditional dealer installed technologies like Control4, Savant, Crestron, and now we're seeing a lot more of these smaller companies, these startups, the crowd-funded startups, showing up at CEDIA more every year. And I think it's just really interesting to sort of see that side-by-side comparison. And it kind of is a microcosm of what's going on in the smart home automation world right now. There's just sort of a couple different camps, and it's just kind of interesting to see that dynamic.
Yeah, definitely. So what I wanted to try and do is kind of go through a couple of the main vendors and see at least the ones that you and I are pretty familiar with, and see if we could speculate on what they're going to do and release this year at the show. Some of them have already come out and announced things, like Sonos this week. I think it was on the 2nd, so just 2 days ago from this recording. Came out and announced that they were going to be doing, you could pretty much go straight from a Sonos player directly onto your Wi-Fi network, and so that what that does is it eliminates the setup of using a bridge and eliminates the need of their Sonos network. If you wanted to get a Sonos system started up and going, I think that's more valuable for them in their retail chain, because if you go to Target and you look and you buy a Sonos player, and you don't know anything about the system, and there's this bridge there for another $40 or whatever it was, most people would just walk out the door with the player and go home and sit there and stare at it. Oh, now I get a wire. This is dumb. I'm going to bring this back.
Yeah.
And so that's, I think it's more valuable for them there in the smaller systems. I think in our systems, I'm still going to set up a completely separate Sonos network and run things that way. At least have one player hardwired into the network, or if I'm doing a larger system, make sure that multiple players are plugged into the network to make sure the system is more reliable.
Yeah, you made a great point. I actually hadn't thought of that aspect of it, and I think you're probably onto something there. This might have been a move to maybe eliminate confusion. I don't know. I just was a little... I didn't really get it at first, because to me, I mean, it's like this having the bridge. Usually, the systems that we're setting up, first of all, it's usually a centralized system. So usually in the rack, is where all the Sonos players live, and we've got a network switch, right there, and we can hardwire the player itself in no problem. So really, the only thing that this allows that you couldn't do before is that you can have a Sonos system without the bridge, but the bridge is only a $99 part. So to me, that's like, just to get rid of that $199 part, that couldn't have been the sole motivation, it seems to me, for Sonos to do this.
The bridge is actually, I think, $39, and then they announced a new bridge that has like super Wi-Fi abilities for houses that may have a tough time getting a Wi-Fi signal anywhere. This new bridge is it's $99. It comes out later this year. That's supposed to kind of bridge the gap between what the small old bridge does and this new one. So yeah, it's still,
like I said, I'm not even familiar with it because we never use it. We just never have the need for it.
Yeah, I think we've popped them in a couple of times where the router may be in the study. We don't want to mess with the client's network any. You just pop that bridge in, you put your players and set them up over on the other side of the house, and you're done. It is a handy piece in that situation, but as far as the retail side goes, I could definitely see that they were probably getting a lot of returns, at Target and some of the other retail chains, because no one's there to help you understand that you need both of these pieces to make the product work.
Yeah, I bet you're correct there. So yeah, Sonos is obviously an exciting company to watch. They've really just grown by leaps and bounds over the last few years, and I'll definitely be stopping by their booth to check out what they've got going on. What about Control 4, Seth? I know you're a big Control 4 guy. What are you hoping to see from them this year?
Well, they won an award already for their product. They're a finalist for the to be announced product that they're coming out with. I think
is this was Control 4, right?
Right. I think we covered this in a previous episode about how they're a finalist for a product that's to be announced. I still don't know what it is, but the best I can guess is maybe they're going to update their new interface, and make it look a little bit more modern and new. The current interface they have, which is called the Circle of Power, which it's, if you're familiar with Control 4, it's some icons arranged in a circle, and traditionally, going way back, they've called it the Circle of Power interface. That's getting kind of, it's kind of corny, but they don't actually call that publicly, but that's what it's called.
That's funny. To be honest, I worked with Control 4 not for very long, but for a couple of years, and I hadn't heard that term before.
Yeah, I
was like, wait, are we still on HomeTech? Or are we talking about like Lord of the Rings or something?
Yes, exactly. It's one of those things that pops up in documentation, way deep in there, and I think it gets abbreviated a lot as COP here and there.
Interesting.
Yeah, but if you're familiar with Control 4, the circle there, it's just kind of dated, and hopefully, in my opinion, this is my guess, I have no idea what they're doing. I hope they give it an update, because there's a lot of systems that are out there that look a little more modern, a little more sleek, and I think Control 4, if you look at their website, has got some really good designers there on the website side and kind of going through that interface. So I'm just hoping that that maybe they're pulling some of those guys over and kind of giving a little refresh to the interface. It's just kind of long in the tooth. So
yeah, I definitely wouldn't be surprised to see that. I don't think Control 4's interface is horrible, but I do agree with you that it looks a little bit dated. And they're obviously a big player now, and with the IPO recently, it just wouldn't surprise me if they started to kind of put some resources into giving their UI a facelift and kind of refreshing things a little bit.
Yeah, there's a big launch party for something. Again, we don't really know what it is on Wednesday, so I'll be attending that and definitely tweeting and taking pictures as much as I can. So if you're interested in seeing what things are coming out, I'll at least try and take pictures and do what I can. And of course, I'll be on the show floor for the rest of the week. Getting up close and personal with whatever they decide to release, and seeing what it does, because I'm not sure.
Yeah, exactly. Well, speaking of products that are up for awards that nobody's really seen or touched yet, Crestron has a new product that I'm looking forward to checking out, Ping, and that's the PYNG, and nobody's quite sure what this product actually is.
Yeah, and and they've released some teasers that haven't been really helpful. Well, I don't know. I mean, somebody was saying that maybe it was a new product like Ihiji where it would ping. You know, ping is kind of a network term where it reaches out and you can ping a device on the network, and you know that it is still there because it'll send back a little response, and you'll see how fast it responded and all that good stuff. Maybe that they were coming out with a product like Ihiji that would monitor your network health and monitor devices on the network.
Yeah, like a remote management kind of system monitoring tool.
Yeah. But then Crestron did like a tweet the other day, or kind of a PR release or something, where they said, dump the laptops in a trash can and, you know, grab the tablets kind of thing. Like, you don't need to use a laptop anymore. And I have no idea what it could be now. Like, if that's, you know, if they're not just throwing us way off course, who knows? I mean, it's it's like, I mean, if there's any truth to it, which you have to assume there is, then it sounds like it's some sort of platform or a line of products that you're able to kind of program and configure without the use of an actual computer. It should be awesome. I mean, that would be ideal, right? You could just walk in with your iPhone or Android or iPad and configure up an entire system. Maybe you can even do it from the customer's iPad, and then when you're done, you just hand the iPad right over to the customer and say, "Here you go. It's time to go with it." I don't know. That'd be really cool.
It would be really interesting and I think that would stand as a perfect example of kind of what I was referring to earlier with kind of the convergence of the approaches taken by traditional custom integration companies versus the startups. And the startups have always been all about, like, just open up your app and configure the system. If you want to add a device, just do it through the app. That's like a no-brainer when you think about a company like SmartThings or Revolve. I mean, that's just the norm. Like, we don't even think twice about that. So it's interesting that when I heard about this from Crestron, it's like, well, yeah, I mean, it makes perfect sense. That's kind of where the market is headed. I'm really interested to see what this one is. I mean, we sell a lot of Crestron. I have a feeling that for us, with a lot of the larger jobs that we do, a solution like this may not be the best fit. Like, we'll probably still be using more traditional Crestron. But if this is what I think it is, it'd be a great fit for some of our smaller, quicker type in and out jobs.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, who knows? With a name like Ping, it could be just about anything. I mean, it's who knows? I mean, right. I guess we'll find out. We'll find out.
But we're here to speculate, right?
Yeah, that's what we're doing.
It's our speculation special.
Yeah, exactly. So, Savant, you know a little bit more about them than I do. What would you like to see, I guess, this year from those guys?
Yeah, with Savant, to me, it's like I've been kind of racking my brain. You know, they're saying that they're going to show something big, but everybody says that. They just released the Smart Series line of products recently, which, if you're not familiar with Savant, it was a pretty big deal because prior to that, in order to have a Savant system deployed, you had to have a Mac Mini in the system. And now with the Smart Series, they've got a little Linux box that you can do it with. So it's significantly, it brought the costs down a little bit. So that was a big deal, and that was a fairly recent announcement. Not that long ago, I think it was back in June, they announced a new media server that integrates with Savant systems. So they've been pretty busy. Like, there's been news and new products coming out with them quite a bit lately. So I'm just not sure. I'm not sure what they're going to do. I would like to see some better handheld remote options. Right now, they just actually discontinued one of the handheld remotes that they had. That was an okay product. It was quite expensive. It was like $1,300 for just the remote. And it wasn't a great interface, in my opinion. And they've really now only got one other one it's much more affordably priced, but it just doesn't give you a lot of options. And to me, having a handheld remote is just a really important part of the system. Right.
That having that tactile feedback of a button, to hit channel up and down, that's worth its weight in gold when you're trying to hunt for where that is on a touchscreen, a flat piece of glass, and it lights up and blinds you because it's brighter than the room you're in. So exactly. So that's kind of and I have nothing,
that's been sent to me that suggests that they're going to do that. It's just purely what I'm hoping for. I would love to see that. I don't know. Recently, some big news broke with Savant. They had that equity investment where they took on like $90 million in equity investment. That was just, I believe, like 2 days ago from the time we're recording.
Yeah, it was huge news. Again, we don't know anything about money on this show. We don't really talk money on this show, but what was it? Over $90 million. That's a lot of money. So good for Savant. I mean, they'll put it to good work, I'm sure.
Yeah, again, like we're not the money show. That's not really what we go into. But, you know, like you said, it's good news. It's exciting for Savant. They've been kind of a scrappy company in the industry, in my opinion. Like a lot of the old school Crestron guys have just been, you know, dismissing Savant. I kind of feel like since they came out, which was like around 2007, and they've hung around and they've grown their product line, and you know, they just got some investment money, and I don't know. I'm a fan of Savant, so I'm excited to see what they have to show at CEDIA. But I just don't know what it's going to be. I'm having a hard time even speculating.
Yeah, I'm going to be meeting with them on, I think, Thursday, just to see what's new and see what's up. So hopefully I can get a better handle on the line from that conversation.
Yeah, and I think you're actually kind of considering becoming a Savant dealer because you currently aren't. Is that correct?
It's always a possibility. We've been a long time Control4 dealer, and for quite frankly, it's served our needs very well. It's served our clients very well.
Yeah, no, I know you guys have had great results with Control4, and I do kind of feel like they're similar products in terms of where they fit in the market.
Yeah, I mean, traditionally, well, I guess in the past, Savant has been targeting a higher market than what Crestron would have targeted, and to us, that was just not who are the people that we were targeting. But now that they've come down market and they have a $600 or $700 controller, I think, I'm not sure, it may be worth looking at. I think it's still kind of up there in the price range, maybe a little bit more expensive than doing a Control4 system, but for the right client, that may be what they want. And so, you know, I'm always keeping my ear to the ground, listening for new stuff. So definitely interested.
I still feel like, I know Control4 doesn't have a ton of handheld options either, but I do feel like they have the edge on Savant there right now.
Yeah, they have two handheld remotes. One of them has a little screen on it and one of them doesn't. And we don't sell the one without the screen because it makes troubleshooting impossible. With the one that does have the screen, at least you can see or ask the client over the phone, you know, what does it say on the screen? And, you know, it'll tell you if it's not on the network or not. And there can be night and day when it comes to troubleshooting over the phone and from remote locations, because the other ones are great for you know, smaller rooms or bedrooms that didn't need that, like one-off installs. But yeah, the SR250 has been our go-to remote, and they have a charging cradle, which now that I guess they released that last year, it's been super super nice because we don't have to worry about batteries dying anymore. It just sits there on the charging cradle and does its thing. Yeah,
that was a nice addition. I recall I was working with Control4 when that came out, and that was definitely a nice addition.
So speaking of remotes, URC and RTI are kind of on our short list of the older CI companies. I think, you know, I really haven't followed those companies in a long time. URC is probably the most used on my end. I think it's more because I'm just familiar with the product, and I think a lot of them were installed by a company called Sound Advice. I'm not sure if you guys had those over there, but they were pretty major into selling certain lines of remotes in certain areas. Mm-hmm. So there's a huge amount of them in our market, and just kind of had to pick it up and you do service calls once that company went out of business for those clients. And so I guess just out of familiarity, I've used it. Those two companies, I just haven't followed them enough. I know they have their own like home control system that they're doing now and integrated solutions. But I think probably what I would expect to see out of them is more in API and integration with third-party developers. We talked about not too long ago somebody doing an Apple TV driver for RTI, so I thought that was kind of interesting that type of development could be done on an RTI system, and that's pretty advanced stuff. So, I'm going to be definitely walking over the RTA booth because they have some nice remotes.
Yeah.
So definitely want to check those out.
RTI and Universal Remote or URC, definitely similar lines. And as a dealer, it's kind of a lot of dealers out there have had experience with both because they're so prevalent in the market. A lot of times, like you said, you pick up a job that had a previous integrator and they've got already like a universal remote. Or then maybe you pick up another job a month later and they've got an RTI. The programming interfaces, in my experience, were pretty similar. Right now, we're a universal remote dealer. The previous firm I worked at was RTI, so they're both good companies. I've had experience with both. Right now, I kind of feel like Universal Remote has the edge on actual remotes. They've got some really nice ones out there. I know that they're announcing some new mobile apps for the CC Gen 2 systems. So that's going to be, I think, a push for them is kind of enhancing the app experience. But yeah, their core product is the handheld remote, and I think they do a great job at it.
Yeah, and kind of some industry inside baseball news, and I don't know if I can say this or not, but I'm going to go ahead and say it because I don't care. URC is going to be picked up by Snap AV and distributed through their website and interface, which is huge for dealers who need to buy product quickly and easily. Yeah, so that
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it dropped today or the day before. I'm not too sure. I got an email on it. So, but yeah, I thought that was interesting. They were carrying the Pro Control line, so.
Are they not anymore? Was the first thing I thought of when you said that, because Pro Control is owned by RTI.
Yeah, exactly.
Pro Control is RTI.
Yep, and it's the same, almost the same programming software when you get down to it. But I don't know. I don't know if they're going to be carrying them or not. Just kind of dropping that line and dropping support for it. But for dealers that need URC product, that's pretty huge. So I think they're going to have a leg up in more than one way.
Yeah. Yeah, I have to say it was funny when I first did Pro Control. It was, Pro Control is basically like RTI's cheaper down market solution. And I opened the software and started programming in it, and I liked it like a lot more, significantly more than I enjoyed programming in our actual RTI software. And I thought that was interesting. It was just, I guess, a more updated product. I think that back when I was doing it just a couple years ago, I think the RTI programming software was kind of due for an update. And the Pro Control stuff is nice. It's a good solution. It's an inexpensive remote, pretty powerful, and I had good results with it.
Yep. Yeah, I can't say that I had any bad results with it. I've got a couple of them out there that I did. I had one that had a problem, and they warranted it. Just like that's what dealers are used to when they deal with Snap AV. They just basically swapped it out. I had the program on my computer, dropped it on, and handed it right off to the client, and they actually brought it back home and just started using it. So I thought that was awesome. And it was, I don't think it was anything special. It was like the power supply died on it or something, but they gave us a new remote. So
yes, I will say this, Snap AV, we're kind of getting on a tangent, but I enjoyed working with them. I mean, they're kind of at the high end of the market. I don't want to say divisive, but like, some people kind of dismiss Snap AV because they make a lot of their own hardware, and some people kind of debate about the quality of it. I will say that in my experience, I had all good things to say about Snap AV. I mean, they made the ordering process really simple. Their support was good. If you did get bad hardware out of the box, they were really good about returning it. So I enjoyed working with them, and I think that's good news for URC. I think that's a good fit.
Yep, definitely. And Snap AV, I mean, they're going to have a huge booth too. They usually do release something new every year, so I'm kind of interested to see what they're showing off this year.
Yeah, definitely.
So that's kind of wraps up the traditional companies that I would cover. Some of the newer companies, as I was going through and looking at all the little small booths on the show floor, I noticed some really large booths, and one of the largest ones I saw was a company called Deezer. I know it's a music streaming company, and if you're listening to this overseas, you're probably very familiar with them. It was started over in Paris, France, and is in 182 countries. And I guess, to me, what it looks like is they're launching that week at CEDIA, or they're launching in the U.S. market at CEDIA, because they are going to be kind of co-sponsoring the Sonos party which is on Wednesday night. And kind of going in, there's the Royal Machines, which is fronted by Dave Navarro and Mark McGrath. Those guys will be playing there, and it's kind of on the graphic that Sonos sent out to the dealers. It says D's are over in the corner. So as I was going through, I was like, why do they have such
Deezer?
why do they have such a large booth? This is insane. And then I looked them up, and it says we're not available in your country. And now I think they'll be available probably the week of CEDIA or very shortly after. And
Certainly
probably
looks like it.
Yeah, and probably launch alongside Sonos, you know?
Yeah, definitely. It's an interesting looking platform. It looks a lot like Spotify, kind of that sort of model where you pay a subscription fee and then you can play music on demand from basically a huge catalog. I'm interested to see what makes it different or better than Spotify. I mean, at this point, Spotify's kind of entrenched here almost. Like, it's a very popular service. I'm seeing more and more of my clients are using it. I know I use it and I really enjoy it. So in that sense, I think Deezer will have their work cut out for them here. I think there's a lot of loyal Spotify users, but there's maybe some compelling aspects to this service that I'm not aware of that make it a much better option. I'm really curious. I hadn't even heard of them until just a couple days ago. Yeah,
I'm kind of in the same boat. We'll see what they do, and I'll be interested to see, you know, what they have at this giant booth at CEDIA. So it sounds pretty cool.
And I mean, the fact that they can kind of ride on Sonos coattails is really going to help them out. Sonos is a really great product. It's definitely, I would say, probably the best in class audio solution for just kind of the do-it-yourself market. Like, there are some applications where Sonos isn't a great fit, but those are pretty rare, and those are kind of at that really high end of the market. For the mass market, for the vast majority of people, it's a no-brainer, and so that's a good partnership for Deezer.
I did notice a handful of smart lock companies that'll be at the show. One of them was kind of funny. The name was Okie Dokie. And it's I have nice. You have to look at it in the show notes to kind of, okay, that's what they call it. But there were a couple that were like a Bluetooth lock, I think I saw there, and you know, I'm sure Kwikset and the Z-Wave and Zigbee Lots, Baldwin, Kwikset, those guys will be there in partner booths as well. I was kind of shocked to see how many smart locks were going to be shown on the floor.
It's like, it's a big market. I mean, it definitely, there's a lot of potential there. I think that it's fast becoming a crowded market. So companies are really going to have to differentiate themselves in order to succeed. I know we recently had the guys from Chewy on the show, and they're going to be out at CEDIA, and I look forward to stopping by their booth and meeting them and seeing what they've got going on. But yeah, it's really becoming a very popular device, I should say, for like adding intelligence to, and there's a lot of companies doing it now. I think there's still some hurdles to clear there in terms of market adoption and kind of getting people comfortable with the idea of a smart lock, but clearly there's a lot of inertia behind it. So definitely something I'll be checking out at the show.
Yeah, everybody has locks, so
exactly. I mean, there's
you're gonna need one.
Yeah, I do think someday it'll be the norm, but I just think it's going to take some time for people to kind of warm up to that idea and get comfortable with it.
Right. So I noticed the company called Ratio, smart sprinkler company. I think we've covered them before. I think they were going to be in Home Depots. Is when they announced they were going to be in Home Depots.
Yep.
Yeah, so they're going to be at the show. I thought that was cool.
Smart sprinkler company, and they're solving a big problem. We had some guests on the show recently. Skydrop, they have a similar product. I don't believe they're going to be at CEDIA. I feel like we asked them that, and I think they said no. But in any event, they're both smart sprinkler companies solving a big problem in terms of water usage. And I know I've actually been emailing back and forth with one of the guys from the company. They reached out to us through the website, and I look forward to stopping by their booth and checking them out. Maybe we can get them on the show someday.
Yeah, definitely. And then there's a handful of like startup turnkey home automation systems that are really marketed towards the end user. Revolve, Weeby, and a company I think you saw called Platabase. You kind of brought this to my attention early on. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that one?
Yeah, Platabase just looks interesting to me, like where I actually came across them, and since then I've seen them in a couple of Google alerts and things like that. But I was actually kind of researching. I had purchased a Fitbit recently, and was just kind of thinking, after using a wearable wristband for a while, like, it would be cool if this wristband could do like home automation control, and so gesture-based home automation. And that's basically the idea behind Platabase. And it's like a band that you wear on your wrist. They got a cool video up. We'll have to include it in the show notes, where it kind of demos like the different gestures that you can use to kind of control lights in a room and bring lights up or down. And I'm not sure how exactly it works, because the way they kind of advertise it is that like you can point at a light and then move your arm up to kind of bring it up. And I don't know how the intelligence is built in there to where it can tell what you're pointing at. You know what I mean? Like I'm not totally clear on how that works, but it looks like a cool product. And I happen to be one who believes that gesture-based home automation control is going to be a big market, and I think that these guys are kind of early into that. I don't see a lot of people doing it, but I do think it's a compelling use case.
Yeah, it looks pretty cool. I mean, if you want to be Tony Stark, this is the product.
That's the device.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It looks exactly like what he does. Maybe they will offer an Iron Man suit. At a later date.
Buy the wristband, get an Iron Man suit.
Exactly. That would be perfect. So, it definitely seems like it's going to be an exciting show. I'm looking really forward to meeting up with you, too. Maybe grabbing a couple beers after the show and sitting down and talking some more home tech. I know that we're going to try and record one while we're there and maybe get it out as a special before the following Monday, just to kind of go over what we saw and what we thought was cool.
Yeah, definitely. I think we should make it a point to do that, and we'll release that kind of as, like you said, as a special in addition to our normally scheduled shows. So keep an eye out for us every Monday. But that Saturday of the show, I think we're going to try to push one out. So if you're listening to this one and you remember and you kind of want to get our take on the show and get a wrap up and kind of hear what we have to say about it, keep an eye out for that. It should be coming out the weekend of the show, which is Saturday the 13th.
Yep, sounds good. I'll be looking forward to that conversation and seeing how many of our predictions were correct and how many of them were just way off out of nowhere.
Yeah. Exactly. And we'll definitely make it a point to get together. I mean, like you were saying earlier, the social aspect of CEDIA is one of my favorite things. And I mean, yeah, we do go out and have a few beers, but all kidding aside, it's just great to get together and meet some of the faces of our industry and kind of see people that you don't get to see all the time. So I'm really looking forward to that aspect of it. And we'll definitely get together and go peruse the show floor.
Sounds like fun, man.
All right, I'm looking forward to it, and we will talk soon.
All right, I'll see you at CEDIA.
All right, take care.